Welcome back to Ask the GM's podcast. Here is part 2 of Pet Peeves. And thank you for listening.
This segues into a pet, or my last pet peeve. It's okay to die. Accept death is a part of the game, because we were talking about how stories are structured. And what is the point of playing a story if there is no risk to it? Because once there's no risk, there's no tension. I mean, what's the point? And
there's got to be stakes.
And, one of our Gregs was saying, like, oh, that's stupid if, all your characters, growth goes into nothing. Well, Zach was saying that, me and Rob's characters were some of the best, and Lindsay's characters were some of the best he's seen, I guess, maybe us produce. And my character kind of came to a head whenever he had a self-sacrificing moment to save the party.
Oh, your death was spectacular.
I loved it. And it made that character insanely memorable for me, that my death was able to help the group carry on in the game. And so, deaths can be way more meaningful than a life full of just nothing.
Well, I do love your character death. And the other example is Ian in Masks, when you went bonkers. That entire thing in the pyramids was memorable for that. For Lindsay almost getting vaporized, for Rob sitting in the chair, even Dave coming up with the sawed-off. Like, we talked about that scene and still talk about it.
Yeah, that one was, oh, man. I mean, you want to talk about memorable moments? That was one of the clutch moments in role-playing.
Yeah, I missed the crazy chair.
Yeah, it was essentially the apex of, like, the drama of our story all culminating into one moment. That another thing with character deaths is I like rolling up new characters, so kill me any day.
Yeah, it's like you said, if the character can't die, then what's the point? And also on the other side of that, like, the stakes both need to be there, and also in another way of thinking about it, there are no stakes, like, for you as a real life person. Because if you die, like, yeah, sure, like, maybe you put some effort into that character and that can be a bummer, but it's not like you can't just roll up a new one. Like, this is all a make-believe story. We can just put you right back in it in a different way. So there's no real consequence to it, so why should you be afraid of that?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I completely agree with you guys. I think character death can add to the story. Sometimes it's just unfortunate and it doesn't add anything and it just happens. But I think that in a way, Dungeons and Dragons probably conditioned a lot of players, especially if that's what they started playing was D&D. I think that game conditions players to be very averse to death because you want to get to level 20 or 15 or whatever you're shooting for. So I feel like when players are striving for that level 20 character and they die at level 10, they feel like they've wasted their time. So I think it has to do with the way some games are set up. Whereas Call of Cthulhu, I think right from the get-go that your character's doomed. I mean, and if you don't, you didn't really read much of the material or you're not paying attention. But your character in Call of Cthulhu is doomed from the very beginning, and you know that going in.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I've had more than one character start with 12 or 11 HP. Oh, man. And anything can kill you in Call of Cthulhu, like pitchforks.
Yeah, I was going to call that out. Lindsay taking that pitchfork. That's at 11. I have 12 HP. It's like, yeah, that probably got very close to just ganking you.
And, I know we said we're not actors because we're not, but what is, and I'm going to use a Futurama reference here, but isn't the best scene to act in a death scene?
That's a good point. Or a scene where you're losing your mind. That's always fun too.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like in Children of Fear, like we talked about when I said Pat's death was spectacular. Like, Pat, that was your moment, and you seized it, man. Like, you knew that you like landed on that death, and you were like, you know what? I'm going out with a literal bang, and it was awesome.
Man. Own it.
And Ian, just to what you were saying, that death was a bout of insanity that led to my death,
that's even better. Oh, that's even better.
It was funny that the dice led to the way they did because Zach required me to do a sanity check. I failed massively. I got an insanity which in turn turned into like just bloodthirsty rage and
Insane
vengeance.
rage.
Yeah, insane rage. So, I had a chance to either attack my party or attack the creature, and I just so happened to attack the creature, but my guy went all out and just, he kamikazed him basically. It was
Yeah, didn't you like light a dynamite stick and run at him or something?
yeah. There was bits of me that blew all over the town square.
Oh, that's great.
I think it was, what was the creature, Zach? A star vampire or something? Something big and bad.
Yeah, star vampire. This is very bad. Okay, my next topic is don't dig story holes. This was mentioned with Greg when he's digging around in that autopsy for more information when there was none. And Rob has also mentioned it in terms of like understanding Western storytelling. Don't dig a hole that doesn't go anywhere. Don't go into an alley and expect it to be a road.
Yeah, this just brings me back to like being in film school in a screenwriting class. Like when you write a scene, you write all this stuff and then you go back and read it to edit it and you're like, all right, you put in a lot of useless information that like sure it's stuff that happened, but if it doesn't move the story forward, there's no need for it to be there. So you don't need to, like the alien autopsy thing that we already talked about, like that you might have had a thought there, but it's not doing anything for the story. Cut it out.
It takes time. It takes time from everybody. Everybody's time is valuable, so no need to poke holes in a already fictional story.
Yeah, I mean, just read the cues because it could, because I get it. On the surface, autopsying an alien body seems like you would get something from it, but as soon as the keeper says it's no good, nothing's there, just read the cues. That's it. Move on to something different.
Ian, do you have another topic?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna go with. Oh man, this is a tough choice. Let's go with bullying. I've seen this happen at the table, not particularly at our table, but I've seen this happen in the past. Probably more when I was a teenager, but I've seen it some when I'm an adult. Just any form of bullying at the table is not fun. I played in a game shortly. This was right after I moved to Wilmington in 2005. This is probably 2006 or 7, and I was DMing it. And it was two of the players, they were roommates, and you could tell that there was friction between them. And one of the roommates would constantly belittle the other one, talk down to them. It was just generally uncomfortable, and just like witnessing bullying in school, it's not cool to see it at a game either.
It must be hard to police as well. Like you don't want to get in between that.
Oh, Bryan, it's so awkward when there's that kind of, but because you're going to have a conversation with someone, and it's not going to be a fun conversation. It feels like work.
I'm glad that we don't really have that in our group because that would just be another thing that pushes my jackass button, and I would not be able to resist inserting myself, and then it would just get worse.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to say that we haven't had to deal with that in our group.
Brian, do you have another topic?
I do. I have one more, and this is so again a little more objective than paying attention and lying about rules. It's more towards my second one. It's be original. This is role playing. You're allowed to move outside your comfort zone and try something new. If you're always the lawful good character or always a doctor and medic, maybe it's time to try something else. Or on the other side of that coin, if you're always playing yourself, are you really role playing?
Yeah, Bryan, that's when it gets me is when someone comes to the table and and when they start playing, you get that person. Like that's all you get is them. And you had mentioned stepping out and doing something different. Something I've seen happen before, Bryan, I don't know if you've seen this, but they play the same character over and over again and complain about it, where it's your choice to play what you want. And you're the one that's choosing to play the party cleric, or you're the one that's choosing to play the paladin. And don't complain about it.
Right. You're a cleric in D&D and you're a doctor in Pulp. Okay, cool. And like Pat said, the two-headed serpent campaign, oh, you're using an old character. Oh, okay. Why are you using an old character? Why would you do that?
Yeah, are you just here to kill time? Like, you got nothing better to do? Is that why you're here?
Now, I will say that this is probably one of the hardest. It's very nuanced. It's hard to break. I find myself guilty of it, because we all like a certain dynamic to play. Like, I'd say in D&D, I'm always playing a cleric or something like that. I do like to switch it up every once in a while, and I think it was really until I got into Call of Cthulhu that I was wanting to try different dynamics on different characters, try and be a social character. And sometimes something to help you break from these things is rolling on a table to generate your characters. So I would say that would be a step to try and correct that behavior in yourself.
And I like that character creation method too, Pat, especially in the Warhammer fantasy system. It's a great way to step outside your comfort zone.
Yep.
Now, I have a specific exception to this rule. That is, if you're a DM and you've wanted to finish playing a character that you never get to finish because the game you were in ended and you had to start DMing again, I'm fine with you trying to finish that character. Finish their story or do more than the 4 sessions you've got with them. On the other
absolutely.
end,
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, as I mentioned before, I don't have a ton of experience role playing, but that's one thing that I've been really conscious of every time we start a new campaign is to try to come up with something totally different and not just be the same person over and over again. But I'm pretty excited. The game we're starting tomorrow is the first time that I'm bringing back an old character, but not just reusing an old character, like taking that character, progressing further with that same character. And I'm kind of excited to see how that goes.
Oh, and I'm technically guilty of this because I have a character that is requested, and it's been requested more than once, and that's because it is.
Is that Tucker?
It's Tucker. Yeah, and that's okay.
Tucker, yes,
And
Tucker.
it's fun to be Tucker. It's enjoyable, and luckily I don't have to do it every week because that would probably get a little taxing. But I do think it's therapeutic to you're trying to this is where I come from, trying to grow as a person. All right, I know I need to be more assertive. I know I need to be more I don't want to say demanding, but if that's a character that I know I need to grow in my own personal self, I can put that into a character I'm creating. And it how I look at it, it's a little difficult.
Put in the
I guess.
character and test drive it for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, most of my characters recently have been kind of sleazy. Does that mean I'm being sleazy in my normal life? Maybe a little bit.
and Brian, I want to thank you for that. That's kind of like the converse of what I was going to bring up. It drives me nuts as a dungeon master, as a keeper, as a GM, when I see the same person play the same thing every time with no variation and no change. It shows no player growth, no character growth. I will freely admit I do rate my players and I do rate myself with a rating out of 10. And some of our Gregs have a certain lower number than everyone else because they've shown that they can't grow.
All right, dramatic revelation for the podcast. I want to know my number.
Right? I totally want to know it.
Oh, if you want to know, I'll flat out tell you.
Yeah, I want to know.
Yeah, Rob, you're a 5, and it's not because you're bad. It's like 5 is like base average. Just sometimes you're not into it, so like you fluctuate between like a 6 and 5.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I see. Rob, sometimes though, Rob throws some really hot curveballs out there.
Yeah, when he's in, he's in.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah, I was going to say,
yeah.
when I'm on, but I can definitely be off. I see what you're saying.
No, yeah.
Where like Ian and Lindsay are 8s. I'm a
Agreed.
7. Patrick's a 7. Brian is a 6, but Brian, you're brand new, so like a 6 is good, man.
Yeah, for the short time that you've been playing, absolutely.
Like I don't think I know a 9 or a 10.
I was gonna say I'm shocked I'm an 8. I was guessing like 7, maybe.
No, you and Lindsay are 8s. Like
Yeah, because you and Lindsay are able to get into character so easily that I don't think comes naturally with Zach and I being at 7s, and it's something we just definitely aspire to.
I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't know if this helps, but it's because I have absolutely no shame.
It probably helps.
and like you guys might be 8s, but you're 8s for different reasons. Like Lindsay will fully develop a character, fully. Like she gives pages of backstory notes.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's on the level of like a screenwriter when it comes to backstory and character development.
And not everyone has to do that. I just like it shows like she has a dedication to like playing her character. Next topic, I'm gonna throw one out there. Do not create 13th warriors or unicorns. This is a situation where like, hey, one of these characters doesn't belong.
Oh, the sore thumb. Yeah, I gotcha. That's
I think I might have jumped the gun in the situational awareness thing, but old Norse pagan CIA Greg fits that.
Yeah, it's something I definitely agree with you as far as pet peeves, because we were talking about it on our D&D episode, how it's just like you just don't belong here. It's like, say you're in a Tolkien world and it's just elves, dwarves, humans, and orcs and hobbits. And it's just like, oh yeah, well, I'm a clown on a circus ball juggling bowling pins. Like, what the, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're. Oh, I'm a dwarven sorcerer. No, you're not. Shut up. Re-roll your character. You know.
Like, get out of here.
I'm a 6'4" German U-boat captain.
I love that. I love that one. I missed that. I hate I wasn't in that game either. That one sounded fun.
Because they really like big guys and submarines.
Also, the German U-boat captain fits in well with the 4 Americans, the man from India, and the British serviceman from World War One.
Yep, that checks out. Totally checks out.
Yeah, at all. No.
What happened to my character? Well, he got dragged in the alley and he's dead now. A couple other ones that are simple. No whining. Don't whine.
That's a big one for me too. Is the crying and the whining. That's no good. This is a game. We're here to have fun. Why so serious? As the Joker would say, why so serious?
Like, I get like maybe rolls not going your way. Guess what? That's random chance.
Or maybe you have genetically bad die luck, like the Harper family.
You just have to buy new dice then, right?
Every time.
Every time.
I'm just glad my rolls are middle of the road. I got bad days, I got good ones.
Yep. Yeah. There was a day where I failed every single roll except for the one that Zach leaned in and said, "Roll me deception," and I rolled a nat 20.
You screwed over that family so good. I was so proud.
Yeah, I've definitely rolled bad for an entire session. It doesn't feel good, but it is what it is.
It happens. Yeah, it happens all the time. I remember that I can think of multiple games we've had at Cape Fear that I've didn't succeed a whole roll the entire game. I can definitely think of multiple ones.
Ian, do you have a next topic?
Yeah, I think I've got one last one here. This one is kind of goes back to something I think we probably already talked about, and it's just in general playing in a way that is not conducive to the spirit of the game. You've read 50 books. You know all the material. You basically have the knowledge of a seasoned DM, and you're bringing all that knowledge into your level 1 human fighter, like knows everything that you know. I've just seen that happen so much that it just drives me insane, is just using out of game knowledge. And it gets worse in World of Darkness. When I used to run a lot of World of Darkness, people would use the knowledge that they have in real life, because in World of Darkness, it's a modern setting. So they would say that their character has one set of knowledge, and they would use their set of knowledge that they really have. So it just drives me insane.
Yeah, it's essentially they're not role playing at the table. They're just using their own knowledge, not their character's knowledge.
It's a troll. It's weak to fire. How does your character know that? Yeah, come back to me a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Or in World of Darkness, a really, really big thing that would happen in World of Darkness games is you would have maybe, let's just say you'd have like a vampire character maybe, and they just became a vampire. You've been a vampire for a month, and they're talking about going out and finding mages and werewolves and wraiths, and you're like, dude, you don't know any of that stuff exists. You just found out the supernatural existed like a month ago. So like it happened all the time in World of Darkness. It was really, really bad. Players were really bad about that.
And I guess that would kind of segue into my last pet peeve, which would be, and I don't know if we hit on it yet, power gaming.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, hate that.
And yes, I grew up a gamer, and whenever I'm playing like a solo RPG, yes, I'm gonna try and finagle to get the strongest character I am. But I'm not trying to tell a story or be part of somebody else's story whenever I'm playing a single player video game.
That's a video game. That's if that's what you want to do, if you want to go and be, I remember there was one player we had who made a character who had a bunch of rock throwing feats. It was a 3.5 game, and he was level like 6 and could throw boulders like a giant, but he was a medium-sized character because he just picked just the right amount of feats. And it's like, are you serious? Like, this is completely ridiculous.
Or it's like, we know Polearm Master and Sentinel is good in combination. Or if you want to get Sharpshooter or what have you to game the system to get your damage output the highest. Like,
just play an Xbox game or something, or go play World of Warcraft.
Now, if there's, you can design a fluff around it while your Polearm Master and Sentinel say, like, you've been a King's Guard and you wield a halberd all the time, and you've say you've been in a lot of riots and holding people back. Okay, I get it now. But don't just do it just to do it.
One thing I appreciate about Call of Cthulhu, there's no power gaming. There's no, like, I'm the best at everything. No, you're going to be weak somewhere.
I think that's actually why I like what's attracted me to this system so much, Zach, is that very point right there, is that the players aren't worried about how much XP they have. They're not worried about what level they are. When do I get my next feat? When do I get my next spell? They're not worried about that.
Well, not only that, it's like, haha, I've somehow mapped out the perfect character. No, you haven't. There's no way to do it in Call of Cthulhu.
Nope, it's impossible.
Every character will have a weakness, which, every hero should have a critical weakness.
I would say that if it was possible in Cthulhu, I would have probably attempted to do it because, just like Ian said, a video game, you kind of look at how other people have done it, or you look at kind of walkthroughs. And I've looked when I created that two-headed serpent character, I was looking for, a mystic. I can't remember what his profession was. Not an arcane investigator, but I was looking, and there's not really information that makes your character overpowered in any way. So I would say that would probably be something that I luckily am not able to do, because I would probably attempt to do it.
I have a similar topic in terms of character building. Do not ask for special treatment. In general, definitely around session 0 or session 1, really is disingenuous to all the other players.
Yeah, not cool. Something that I do a lot, or I used to do a lot as a DM, is I might give out a couple of bonus items at the beginning of the game, but everybody's going to benefit, or it might not be the same thing per se. But if I'm going to give something special to one player, you can pretty much bank that everyone else is going to get something either soon or something similar.
For me, it's the asking.
Oh yeah, just I guess would you call that entitlement?
I could see that argument, and I'm not going to say I've never asked for something special or anything like that, but I usually work that out with the DM, and 99.9% of the time, it's RP stuff. I'm not asking for a jetpack.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is all the experiences I've had with you guys, is it something story related?
You're telling me that my lawyer cannot have demolitions if I had no demolitions experience.
I didn't say no, I said not yet.
No, I said no. I was very clear on the no.
No, I did not ask for demolitions experience. I just asked to be double lucky. And I was totally fine if you said no.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, that's not what I would call an unreasonable ask.
My last couple, unless someone else has one, are going to be more game system focused. The first one's going to be D&D focused. I need you as players to understand how alignment works, not how you think alignment works. Just because you're lawful evil does not mean everything you do must be lawful evil. It just means a majority of the time you are lawful evil.
Yeah, alignment is a really big. That's a really big. That's a sore subject for a lot of D&D players, because if you ask 10 different D&D players their interpretation of the alignment, you're probably going to get 10 different answers.
And it has changed and fluctuated through the years. I know Gary Gygax was very adamant that they were more like hard divisions. I'm not of that opinion. I think it's a spectrum, but it also means if you're in that little category, you often fall into that category.
I agree with you. That's how I interpret it as well. But Gary Gygax was a bit of a hard ass, so
Well, the rumor is everything came from Zeus's head to him. He never played another game or was inspired by anything else. So,
oh yeah, that checks out.
I mean, he said that at a convention.
I can say a lot of things too.
Last system focus one for me, and then we'll do any cleanup on anyone else's topics. Do not go skill fishing in Call of Cthulhu. In Call of Cthulhu, you get to check your skill if you succeed and possibly improve it later. Don't be trying to force skills into boxes they don't belong in. Don't be rolling diving if you're dodging out of combat.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see this too often. If I ever see anything that looks like this, it's usually the players trying to figure out if they can do something or not. They're not necessarily maybe looking for a skill check. I don't know. I feel like there might be a line in the sand there, or a fine line maybe.
Yeah, there's a big difference between asking, hey, can I roll this, or what do you think the best skill is for that? Not, hey, can I randomly roll this because I want to get the skill check for this session? Like, no, you can't. Also, forgot about it, but I'm going to mention it now. Don't just roll stuff. Roll when I tell you to roll, or roll when it's clearly appropriate. Don't just randomly roll a check.
Roll the 2d10 and save it for the next time Zach says make a spot hidden roll.
When y'all are keeping or DMing or whatever, you're the voice in the sky, really, and you're providing us players guidance as to the scene. So you're obviously describing it, and then I'm probably guilty of asking, is there anything else around that I could see? But I think I don't know if that's me being new or just trying to find more stuff. But
no, asking for context is fine. An example I can think of from Greg was, hey, we're on this big road trip going to this other city. Can I roll navigate to make the road more efficient, or to look at the map and roll navigate based on that? No.
While a guide is currently guiding you guys anyways.
Yes, that was the specific example.
Or
was that Children of Fear again?
Yep.
You remember,
that
not to keep going back to Children of Fear, but you remember one of the Gregs playing as a big game hunter, and they were like, can I hunt anything here? And we're like, no. There's nothing around to hunt.
No, okay. You're in the desert.
You're in the Gobi Desert. You can hunt sand. Does anyone have any other pet peeves, even if they're tiny ones?
I've got not so much a pet peeve, but kind of like an overarching closing thought for my things. It ties together a lot of the pet peeves and a lot of things that we've talked about, and that's basically just participate in good faith, or to translate it, don't be a dick. If you're doing something, just be cool, and then everything will be fine.
Hear.
Be a good human, or whatever character, species, race you are.
Be a good life form.
Yeah, conscious being.
Because secret guys, I'm going to tell all the players this, and everyone in this little room knows that too. If you're letting the keeper know or the DM know that you want to do a fun thing and it sounds awesome, probably going to let you because they want to do a fun, awesome thing.
Like suplexing a giant snake in the nose. Yeah, sure, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, try it. Yeah.
Bryan, I recalled you attempted to jump off the top rope. It didn't succeed, but I was all for it.
Yeah, I was attempting to land an elbow from 40 feet up and totally failed. And that was okay. The attempt it stuck with me, and that was entertaining in itself.
Yeah, the only part of that is if the game master is telling you it's impossible, just back away and stop. But after that, if you're going to do the cool fun thing, they're into the cool fun thing.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, Zach, I would like to stare at this paperwork for the next 40 hours. It's like, no, man, we're skipping the scene entirely.
Zach, I want to deliver a 96-minute eulogy at a funeral in January in New York.
After it snowed? Yeah, you did that. It was hilarious.
I'd like to hypnotize a monkey so my friend can barter for its fire cheating relic.
Dope.
I've never seen so many successful. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've never seen so many successful rolls in a row in my life.
That was just amazing. Every single time, I was like, Zach, would this do anything? And he's like, I mean, it might. And we just got perfect rolls the entire time.
I mean, and some of it's fun. Like as a player, you do want to put some like questions in your game master's mind. Not scary questions, just more like, where is this going? This seems interesting. I know when Pat was running Two-Headed Serpent, I was in the room with Lindsay, and we were in interrogating or at least talking to a guy running a survey team, and while he's like showing Lindsay the map and everything, I locked the door. And if that conversation wasn't going to go the way I liked, that guy was going out the window.
There was a lot of interesting situations in Two-Headed Serpent that while I was running it, I was like, let's see where this goes. Let's have fun with it. And, lo and behold, my players did not, fail to entertain me at all. And so some zany things happened, and I loved it. It was fantastic.
I think what I appreciated about Pat running Two-Headed Serpent was you're very just hold the steering wheel with one hand. You know what I mean? You were the kind of keeper that was just I'm just going to hold on with one hand and let the players kind of guide me along. I like that.
I think
It was very free. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's many moments where I was just like Ian got him and Zach, well, actually the whole party, into a terrible situation that could have ended up in a TPK. This is while the monkey's arms deal was happening nearby in the woods. And
yeah, it was so funny. There was like a war going on, and I was just doddering around in the woods with a monkey.
Yeah,
and to be clear, there was literally a war happening.
Yeah.
Oh, it was terrible. And there was a moment in which I had to tell Ian, like, I don't know if I can save you guys from this. I was generally like, I guess we'll see what happens.
And I was totally fine with it. I was like, I'm probably, and to be fair, Pat, I did not think I was going to survive that scene.
I don't think anybody thought you were.
Ian just walked out in the middle of a gunfight, yelled, "Jesus, take the wheel," and went for it.
Yeah, but Zach saved the day. He's dumped pretty much all his luck to do it, but it happened.
And it
Yeah,
was
Pat,
worth it, too.
Now, Pat, part of that was also like you going through masks with Ian. And Ian, I could pick out a very specific scene where you kind of stole the show when we're in the truck rental place, and you're being a colossal ass the entire time, to the point where I said, like, if this was a silent movie, we would just see panels that just says swearing in Cockney. as you take your cane and like move all their papers. Which one of these meaningless forms must I fill out to rent one of your trucks, sir? I'm clearly the most important person on the earth.
Oh man, Thaddeus. Oh, what can be said about Thaddeus that hasn't already been said?
He was eaten by a giant tentacle god.
We're going to find out tomorrow. That's what.
And we may have heard of him.
Perhaps you've heard of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm betting that it says it on your tombstone if Rob's character didn't take over your life.
Oh man, but what can you put on the tombstone of someone like Thaddeus Murdoch III?
When there's a life just sitting there ripe for the taking over, who can blame a guy?
And Rob, like you said, it's the 1950s, and I can steal someone's identity like pretty much in my sleep.
If you weren't there to witness the crime, it didn't happen.
I mean, one could argue you stole his identity in another country, and then the States definitely doesn't know that.
Zach, I do want to thank you for allowing Tucker to do some horrible things and completely derail an investigation. Beating all of my fellow players on a sleight of hand roll to definitely swipe the murder weapon and pocket it, and then pull it out at another fellow character, Greg. Not 20 minutes later.
So, Bryan, the reason why I love that character is, one, as a human, you are almost the complete opposite of Tucker Carlson. So there's a little bit of joy in the humor in that. Two, you play with such horrid conviction that is a joy. So it's literally just like Christmas for me whenever he shows up. You finding Lindsay's body in an abandoned amusement park, praying for Jesus, and then throwing it in a lake is one of my personal favorites.
I'm a little jealous that I haven't yet played with Tucker Carlson.
Rob, we got to make this happen, man.
We could bring him back. I can play a shade of Tucker for Ian's new campaign. Oh,
his most recent appearance, we found a Dark Young, and it had all the conservative information he wanted. He found the Hillary emails. He found the Biden laptop. He found it all.
And
what else
walked away completely fine.
Oh.
Yep. Because my strategy was, I'm just going to kneel to it and, gonna appease it as a lord because it was giving me everything I wanted, and I didn't die.
Doesn't Tucker have a power of like 25 or 30?
It's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's consistently going. He's consistently going to go insane, like he did in Unland.
Also, Bryan did the right thing. I'm just going to bow to the Dark Young. Pat's over there. I'm going to run and fight it, all this other stuff. Just giant tentacles everywhere.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to fight a Mack truck. Let me know how that works out.
Oh, no, it's great. Pat's like, bang, 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 bang. 1 damage. Well, I need to roll. Like, no, it's 1 damage. You can stop.
Yeah, it didn't work out so hot. But I was just playing my dumb cop. So
Tucker saves the day.
Yeah, I don't know if he
At least,
anything.
at least for Tucker. No, he saved the day for Tucker.
Yeah.
You mean for America?
That's right.
I want to thank all our listeners for joining us this evening. Join us next week where we cover Call of Cthulhu overall and what we love about it.
Oh, there's a lot to talk about there.
And thank you, Rob and Bryan, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Nice having you guys on. Yeah, nice having you guys on board.